All right. So first up, thank you very much for jumping on and sitting down and having a chat with me, Kurt.
You're
Really
welcome, Adrian.
appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure, man.
So to begin with, I just wanted to touch base on what got you into coaching builders. How did you start?
Man, that's going way back. I started coaching back in 2004, and at that stage, I was working with a range of different businesses. I actually purchased a business coaching franchise and coached 100 businesses in my first 3 years. Within that were a number of builders. My dad was a tradesman, so I sort of gravitated towards them, and I could also see they needed a lot of help. And it was interesting because we would teach niching, specializing in a certain area of specialty to all our clients, but we were generalist coaches. And I was quite young at the time, and I was looking up at all these older, more senior coaches, and I'd say to them, "Man, like, construction industry needs a lot of help. There's no one that has that is specializing in business coaching for builders only." And I said to him, "Do you think there's an opportunity there?" And they'd go like, "Nah, nah, you're just going to cut out everyone else. What about all the other businesses? It's too small, it's too narrow." And then I went over to the US, and I saw a guy called Dan Kennedy. He's like the grandfather of marketing. And he was just all about niching and be the cardiologist, not the GP. And I remember on the flight back from the US, I made a decision. It was 2007, and came back and launched Builders Coach, and that
Nice,
was it.
nice.
And haven't looked back since. And I love it, man. I just keep digging a deeper and deeper groove.
Yeah,
Learning more all the time, helping more builders, and obviously share as much as I can. You probably aware of my philosophy there. I give away the farm. I love to share all the
yeah,
knowledge, almost like open source. But I learn a lot from my building clients as well.
yeah. 100%, mate. That collaboration's key, isn't it?
It's huge.
Yeah. And with what is it? Something like 320,000 small construction businesses. A vast majority of those are builders. I mean, there's no shortage. It's you got to get in that mindset of abundance. There's plenty out there.
Absolutely, yeah. Mindset's
Uh,
key.
sure is. In your experience, what are the sort of key issues that builders are experiencing at the moment?
It's an interesting question. I get asked that a lot, and I always respond with, you need to understand that I'm working with a sector of the building industry. So, from my experience, having coached builders for going on 2 decades now, the vast majority are not interested in business and personal development or leadership development. So, I'm working with a subsector of the construction industry, which makes up, I'd say, less than 10% of the guys out there, which boggles the mind. I find it fascinating that so few are open to learning and growing and taking control of their business, making more money, enjoying more lifestyle choice.
Yeah,
But the guys in that space, the guys I'm working with do well. It's not like they don't experience difficulty and challenges, but for the vast majority, it doesn't matter if it's the GFC, which I've gone through, the pandemic, they're profitable. It's there's
yeah,
times when it gets really tough and it's difficult, but having a growth mindset and always looking for the learning and the silver lining in every setback and difficulty means you either win or you learn, and that's a
yeah,
that's a very powerful mindset,
yeah. I was just
essential
going to say that.
mindset for peak performance, man. Like, you win or you learn, and it's easy to say it, it's easy to intellectualize it and understand the concept, but consistent application of that concept is a completely different story, but such a powerful and important leadership trait.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Do you feel that you mentioned before that it's only 10% of the builders who have got that abundance mindset? Do you feel with the younger builders starting to come through that is starting to change somewhat?
So, do the younger guys have more of an abundance mindset? I'm not sure if there's more abundance in their mentality, but I can tell you what there is. There's more of an ability or an openness to taking on technology, because the younger guys, they grew up with iPads and iPhones and cloud technology, and they just take to it like fish to water. And a lot of the older guys, the number of guys I see in their late 40s and 50s that are running their businesses like it's 1995 or the 80s, Like, it
Still on
just
paper.
blows my mind. Yeah, it blows my
Yeah.
mind. And the younger guys come in and they go flying past some of these
Yeah.
old school builders with with old school practices and mentality.
Yeah. Okay.
So I
That's
wouldn't
very
say
cool.
more abundance, just better, more openness to adopting best practice technology and systems. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Do you think that's sort of leading to a more willingness to collaborate with each other, or to learn and work on their development, their own professional development?
Yes and no. I'm not seeing more younger guys wanting to collaborate and work on their leadership, personal development, and business development than the older guys. I think it's still that sort of 10%, which is fascinating.
Yeah.
But collaborating and builders talking and sharing ideas is a rare thing still. Sadly, that's
Yeah.
a rare thing. So getting guys together to interact, to share ideas, especially if they're like-minded, is so important and so powerful.
Yep.
So we have our guys catching up at workshops, online, in closed Facebook groups. We have an elite boardroom for our seven-figure club where we
Nice.
get guys together, and it's phenomenal. Like, they take the roof off the place with the excitement and energy, and you know it does come back to that scarcity and abundance mindset. Most people have a scarcity mindset, and that's not to be critical of people with the scarcity mindset. A large part of that is just our reptilian brain. It's a survival mechanism. We want to protect
That's right.
ourselves, so we're looking for danger, and we're moving forward very carefully and not taking too many risks.
Yep.
But you can take calculated risks by following a roadmap for best practice process that's been proven to work for other people, and then have a crack, keep moving and growing. And it comes back to that growth mindset, the ability to move forward with conviction, keep learning, growing, and you learn more from your setbacks and mistakes than you do from your wins.
Yeah, that's it.
So
That's why it's
that's
called
just
winning or learning.
such a powerful ingredient. And then if you can learn from other people's mistakes, that's when you really accelerate your
Yeah.
progress. So
Yeah,
that's where
100%.
the power of collaboration comes in.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. What are some of the bigger misconceptions that builders have about reaching that seven figure?
So the seven figure club is not so much about revenue as it is about margin.
Hmm.
So that's really, really important. Is that the seven-figure club? When I started coaching, I set out to optimize profit, workflow, and cash flow for builders, and pursue excellence and best practice. In doing that, we started achieving these seven-figure results, which is a builder netting $1 million within a 12-month
Nice.
period after all expenses, including wages to self. This is very important because when I look at a P&L, there's often a net profit there, but when I ask where's your wage, it's not in the profit and loss. It's not in the overheads or the expenses.
Yep.
So that's after wages to the business owner of about $200,000. And the sweet spot is between 6 and 7 million. We just had a guy about 2 weeks ago, incidentally, contact me. He just got into the seven-figure club. He's doing $7 million turnover. That's revenue
Yep.
for a 12-month period. His markup is 33%, which is a
Nice.
25% margin. That's a 1.750 gross profit. Now he's got to pay his overheads with that. And if his overheads, including rent, vehicles, annual insurances, marketing, wage to himself and his wife, are $750,000 or less, then he's netting $1 million. And then you've got a serious tax problem. And
Yep.
the best way to offset that is to do your own developments, do some house flips, buy some property. And there's lots of exciting, endless opportunities for what you can do with subdivisions and Airbnb properties, all that sort of thing. But
Yeah, for
to
sure.
answer the question, so the biggest misconceptions would be that you need to grow or chase revenue to make money. Okay, that's a big misconception, because if you're doing 7 mil turnover, you're a small builder. And
Yep.
that's why, even in a downturn, depending on the area you're in, because there is a difference between metro and regional areas, but you should be able to still do 7 mil, even in GFC conditions, if you have intelligent sales and marketing systems set up where you're creating your own economy. So that is, so that's a misconception there, that you need to scale to make profit. Okay, chase the margin first, identify a market where you can achieve a consistent margin at the front end when you price the work and then on delivery, and hold that margin, then you scale.
Then you
So
scale
that's
up.
part of our process. Another misconception, especially with the older guys, I don't want to seem like I'm bashing the older guys now, but just work harder. Just work harder, work longer hours, you make more money. And that's just a recipe for burnout. It doesn't work. I mean, it's a real
Yeah,
old school mentality.
it
So
is.
working smart and hard,
Yeah,
that's when you really get exponential results.
yeah, yeah. I could very much relate to that. I mean, I saw my own father work hard, and I thought that's what I had to do. And mate, burnout's a real thing, and it's insidious. It creeps up on you. You don't even realise it until it hits.
We're from the same generation, man. I saw the same
Yeah,
thing with my dad. Yeah.
yeah, that's
But
it.
there is another thing, just one more really important point to make there in terms of misconceptions. Um, a lot of guys, and this relates to the mindset, they believe they have to figure everything out for themselves. A lot of guys aren't open or don't find it easy to ask for directions or
Yep,
for help, to put their hand up for help. So they believe, it's a weakness to ask for help or to collaborate and share. So this ability to open your mind to advice, which to
yeah,
me is just common sense. It really is the most common sense thing in the world. If you want to make more money, you want to enjoy a better lifestyle choice, and if someone else is doing it, then so can you. And if you can follow in their footsteps, it's going to accelerate your results and your progress.
100%. Yeah, we've got a saying on our site now. It's uncommon sense because don't know where the common sense is going.
It's because we irrational creatures, we emotional creatures, and that's when you see there's not a lot of common sense out there,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah. Um, so, can you talk us through or walk us through a typical process that you use with the builders that you coach to help them reach that seven-figure club?
Absolutely, yeah. So we've got a process or a roadmap that we take people through, and it's not a paint by numbers thing. You can't just say, "Hey, follow these 147 steps and you'll get there." And there's a sequence for systems implementation for your business. In the same way, there's a sequence you follow when you build a house. You lay the foundation and then go from there. But the reason I love interacting one on one with my seven figure club builders or guys that I have aspirations to get into the seven figure club is that everyone's different. Everyone's
Mm,
business is different. Everyone has just different aspirations, and everyone's mindset is different based on their upbringing, their learnings, and everything else. So, step one is a principle that most people might or should be aware of called the 80-20 principle, and that
yep.
is that 80% of your results, and remember, results in business are profit, workflow, cash flow, and us trying to optimize those metrics. So 20% of the things you do and 20% of the systems and processes you have are responsible for 80% of your results with profit, workflow, and cash flow. So we start there. We start on that 20%. And if you're wondering what that is, that's financials, financial controls, your market positioning, again, chasing margin, then revenue, some basic marketing systems that relate to that, some sales processes to free up time and money and to give you a leg up so that you can start gaining more control. So you can see ahead further. We use
Mm,
forecasting a lot. So it's 80-20 principle as it relates to the specific systems and processes that are going to bring in money and free up time quickly and well. And then, we go from there. But again, it is a case by case
yeah.
thing.
A couple of things you brought up there that came to the front a lot was the financial side of things. It looks
Mm,
like, or it sounds like you put a lot of focus on having builders understand their numbers.
huge. Yeah. I can't coach someone if they don't have clarity around the numbers. So
Yeah.
day one, we look at their profit and loss and we get clarity around the chart of accounts. So job codes and cost codes. And almost every single builder I've ever worked with does not have an accurate chart of accounts. So their cost of sales, and a cost of sale is an expense that you incur once you sign a contract. So you sign a contract to do a job. There's bricks, timber, steel, contractors, outgoings that you pay that relate to that contract. And then there are your overheads, which are expenses you pay regardless of whether you sign a contract. And that's vehicles, petrol, annual insurances, marketing, office rent, admin, that sort of thing. So they need to be separate so we can get a gross margin. That gross margin is just a percentage of the gross profit, and that allows us to compare margin on jobs, but also to calculate your break-even point. And we try and keep it simple, man. Like there's a lot you can unpack when you start delving into finance. You can go get a finance degree, but again, 80-20. What are the 20% of financial systems that are most important as it relates to optimizing profit and cash flow? And we can get those sorted out and in place quickly and well.
Yeah, the big lever pullers.
Yeah, and then that serves as a scoreboard moving forward. So we can set the margin when they're pricing jobs, doing an accurate cost analysis, then hold that margin on delivery of the work, and at the end we can do a profit and loss on that job to see that that margin was held. And yeah, once we get that happening consistently, then it's game on.
Yeah, then it's just fine tuning as you're going.
Yeah, well, ensuring you've got lead flow, workflow,
Yep.
you're converting, you're staggering them, you've got a process for deselection, which is really important. A lot of what works is counterintuitive.
Yep.
Saying no is so important in so many areas of life.
Yeah,
especially
I can relate to that.
The higher you climb, the more you move towards, and the closer you get to peak performance, the more you're going to have to say no to opportunities, to people.
Putting those boundaries in place. I know that's something I myself as a builder struggled with a lot. Yeah. Especially when you got that limited mindset as opposed to an abundance mindset. It's saying no. It's very counterintuitive.
Yeah, and you know why? Because we herd creatures. We collaborate. The reason we're the top of the food chain is that we collaborate together, and we always have. So to say no to someone who's a potential client, especially if they want to give you money and you're saying no because they're not a good fit for what you do, they're not a market fit. Saying no to a substandard subcontractor because they're not performing at the level you want them to, or someone in your office, you're going to have to keep moving through the people that work with you and deselecting people that are maybe good or even very good but not exceptional. So the higher you climb with your standards, the more you're going to have to say no. There'll be opportunities that come your way, other business opportunities, bright shining objects that you're going to have to say no to. And it's counterintuitive because there's money to be made, or there's people you could help. And you want to help people who want to help, which is something I've learned through the decades of coaching so many people. And it's quite heartwarming to know that inside all of us is a desire to want to help other people, which is why I enjoy helping people make a lot of money, because the vast majority of the people that I work with who are in the 7-figure club become philanthropic. They want to help others, which is also counterintuitive in that most people with a negative money mindset think that money's the root of all evil and people with money must have done nasty things to get their money. But from my experience, the vast majority are very kind, generous, empathetic.
Once they've made that
people
money,
that want to help.
They want to help. That's awesome.
They want to share.
I'd like to go back to that mindset. How easy is it for a builder to adopt that abundance mindset without a coach, do you think? I know for me it was extremely difficult. I jumped on board with you for years. What's your learnings with your current builders, like trying to go out their own without a coach?
Look, you could probably do it, but I always say to someone, like, say we're having a conversation and you're thinking about getting a coach, and there's a lot of great coaches out there, right? It doesn't have to be me. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. But if you were talking to me and you were thinking about it, I'd say to you, and whether it's mindset, because mindset's crucial. You're going to need to develop an abundance mindset. You're going to need to develop a positive mindset around money, around marketing, about people management, about lots of different things as a small business owner to be successful. If you want to be successful, and especially if you want to get in the 7-figure club. So my response to you would be, if we could clone you, Adrian. So there were 2 Adrians. Now, one of you starts working with me and you stay open to changing your mindset and doing the work. You're going to have to do the work. Okay.
Yep.
And part of the work is changing your mindset, because you've got to realize that the skill set and the mindset that got you to where you are today is not going to get you to where you want to go. So if you're open to it and you understand that and you're prepared to do the work, it'll be no contest. Adrian with a coach versus Adrian on his own.
Yeah.
And it makes perfect sense. Like if you want to get into a peak physical condition, you get a personal trainer who's good at what they do, and they're going to put you on a diet and a training program versus you trying to figure it out on your own. Good luck.
Yeah.
It's no contest.
It's kind of like the tennis player Nick Kyrgios. whatever his surname is,
Yeah,
doesn't have a coach
yeah,
at the moment. He's an absolute train wreck, just
yeah.
trying to muddle through himself. You hit a good point before. You mentioned there's a lot of good coaches out there, and I wanted to ask yourself, like, you're a coach. Do you subscribe to coaching yourself?
Oh, absolutely, man. Like I pride myself in walking my talk. Like there's nothing I share with my clients or ask them to do that I wouldn't do myself.
Yep.
So, guys like Dan, I mean, I'm like a seminar and like junkie, man. I go to a lot of seminars, I go to events. I'm a big believer in, and I've learned over the years that your net worth is your network. Your network is your net worth.
I
So
like
who
that.
you spend most of your time with, which relates back to your previous question as well. It's
Yep.
so important to spend time with like-minded people, because sadly the vast majority of people do have a scarcity mindset or a negative mindset, not because they're bad people, it's just the way we are, and a
Yep.
large part of that is reptilian brain. So hanging around people that have a positive mindset, ideally around people that are better than you, is really important. So I listen to a lot of audio books. I don't read many books these days. I don't have
Mhm.
time, but I go for a run, go to the gym. I was in the gym this morning and I was listening to a book on mindset, funnily enough. But I go through maybe a book a week. Dan Pena, Grant Cardone, 10X Mindset's great. Dan Sullivan, he's the best business coach in the world.
Yeah,
He's
right.
ancient now, but he's got some like unbelievable wisdom. So learning from guys that have spent their entire life learning, both through iteration, the application of certain principles, is that's an important distinction to make. A lot of people can intellectualize a concept, they can understand, it's easy to understand. The application is very different. One of the most powerful books that I read was Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss.
Brilliant book.
The
Brilliant book.
it was the concepts were easy to understand, but it was the application, and I applied them through a divorce, like an
Yeah.
extremely painful, difficult situation, and I was able to do so without using lawyers. Go through
Beautiful.
financial settlement, care arrangements with kids, and now my ex-wife lives about 400 meters from where I'm sitting, on the
Wow.
same street with my girls, and it's very amicable, right?
That's
So,
awesome. Yeah.
um, one of the most difficult things I've ever done in my life. A lot of it again is counterintuitive.
Yep.
It's the opposite of what you think, but for me, going through that process of iteration through that difficult time, I now have that skill set that I can use for the rest of my life, and the application is endless. I can use it with clients, with friends, with my kids.
Yep.
So it's almost like a blessing. It comes back to that you win or you learn. So the
Yeah.
more you
Yeah.
go through, the more challenges you take on. Dan Pena is a good example. He's that billionaire that lives in Scotland. I spent a week with him and 20 or 30 other guys. I mean, he made us do crazy stuff. We had to fight each other. But there were high net worth individuals there where my mindset was expanded. Guys in their 20s worth $300-400 million. Some of them, they've always just had that money. So for them, it's just perfectly normal. And what I realized is they're no different to you and me. Just their perception of the world and money is different. But Dan's a guy who would seek out ways to get out of his comfort zone. And I'd highly recommend that. I mean, that's a powerful thing to do. So, he was bungee jumping when he was in his 70s, and
Yeah. Right.
jumping helicopter to fly up to Everest, and just goes on and on. So,
Getting
yeah,
getting finding comfort and discomfort.
because I teach, which is fascinating because I hated school,
Mm.
absolutely hated school. Now I'm a teacher, I'm a coach, and the best way to teach is to learn. So I keep learning,
Yeah.
sharing, teaching, growing, evolving. I love it.
Awesome.
It's all.
That's brilliant. It's brilliant. Wanted to have a quick chat in regards to some of your clients now. I mean, obviously, don't name names, but can you share a success story of one of your clients that you've taken through so far?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's, I mean, we've got close to 100 guys in the seven-figure club now. So
Wow.
netting $1 million. In fact, the reason most builders come to me now is to get into the seven-figure club, and I can tell you now, most of them, their aspirations are to do non-client work or their own developments.
Yep.
not have to deal with a client again. I'm sure you can relate to that. Imagine
The
never
C word.
having to deal with clients ever again. Just doing your own work. And within that, a lot of guys, so I can give you endless examples, but for a lot of people, it's about building a business that generates a consistent 7-figure result. And remember that you're building an operations manual that allows you to replicate that result for the rest of your career. It's not about working really hard and making $1 million, because anyone can do that. And as soon as you stop, it slips back down. It's about having an operations manual that allows you to generate that result consistently with good people. It's about process and people. And a lot of guys, and you can do that in 3 years, by the way. The timeline is 3 years.
Wow.
So we've got 4 businesses that are going into the 7-figure club within 3 years of having started their business. They got their building license.
Yep.
We've got one that's going in within 2 years. Okay. I've got guys that, and this is all again about context and mindset. Yep. There's one guy who in his first year in construction did $8 million turnover, and his second year did 16. Wow. And he's got aspirations to be the most successful residential builder in the world. So in his mind, that's just he's sort of on track.
Yep.
But so it all begins with what have you decided to do? But to give you a specific example, the guy that texted me 2 weeks ago, so he's again 7 mil turnover, residential custom homes, so luxury homes.
Yep.
And he's found a sweet spot. Some guys, they have aspirations when they first come to me to do the high-end, beautiful luxury homes, and they get to a certain point, maybe it's over 5 or even a 10 mil build, and the complexity and the type of client you deal with scares them away. And they realize that there's a sweet spot further down, maybe between 2 and 3 mil or 1.5 to 3 mil. And then they decide on how many of those starts they want ideally, how they want to stagger them, what the team looks like, and then ensuring they have the sales and marketing, lead flow and conversions coming through. And there's an overflow of that. So they overbook the flight, a bit like the airlines. It's like having, 30 people wanting to build with you each year, but you can only work with 10. Or 5. That's the best position to be in. It comes back to saying no. You've got to say no to everyone else. You don't just say no. You say, look, we can book you in next year, April.
Yeah, we're at capacity.
Or, we're at capacity. We can book you. Here's the options. You can go find someone else. I can refer you to someone else, or I can book you in at this date. And a percentage, I'm happy to wait, especially if you keep stacking the value and your credibility and your reputation keeps improving. So in that guy's instance, 33% markup, which is a 25 margin, which is important to note. A lot of guys feel that as the size of the job goes up, the margin needs to come down. That is not true. You can hold that margin even when you're doing $2, $3, $4, $5 million projects, and you should, because those projects are going to take longer to deliver. Yeah. And remember, you've got to pay your overheads with that gross profit. And you're not doing this to profiteer. You're doing it to obviously you've got to make good profit. You've got to have the best thing you can do for your client is have strong financials. You have a duty of care to your client to be financially sound. And you'll always take some of those profits and reinvest it in the business to further optimize your processes and attract better people. So it's about adding value, which is the first principle of wealth creation. And so that's one example. But I've had guys come to me and go from $500,000 to 20 million in under 3 years, revenue-wise. I don't recommend it. I mean, that's too much even for me to stomach. But
that's a lot of growth. Yeah. So what would you find is that sweet spot? Yeah, that 7 million.
So anyone who's to give it, sweet spot in terms of 7-figure club is between 6 and 7 million. So if you look at 6 million revenue at a 25% margin. So if we do the maths, and I love maths because it's black and white in this world where nothing's black and white anymore, right? Even genders. But 25% of 6 mil is 1.5 mil. Yeah. If you've got overheads of $500,000 and then you include your wage in there or part of your wage, if you're doing some project management, maybe you don't want to be doing supervision, but maybe you're overseeing it and you're doing some project management, then there's $1 million in that profit.
Yeah. Very nice.
All right. So 6 to 7 mil. And in terms of growth, so if you, I need just disclaimer, right? I need to emphasize, if you're doing under $2 million, then you got to get there as quickly as possible. And I do have some guys come to me, big aspirations, right mindset, but they're doing, say, $1 million a year. We got to get to 2 or 2.5 as quickly as possible. So we do that within 12 months. So there's 50% growth. And then beyond that, to give you a yardstick, 50% growth is comfortable.
Yeah.
Is doable in a controlled way. You want to grow in a controlled way. So we use a lot of forecasting, financial forecasting, which helps with decision making on how when you bring on the next team member, who that team member is, when you bring on the new job scheduling tool, because that takes a bit of work and effort. And then you have a team structure that's forecast as well through organizational charts, and then systems development forecasts. All the forecasting allows you to look ahead and make informed decisions and even eliminate inefficiencies before they arise. Most people are looking backwards and then getting punched in the face repeatedly.
Yeah. What sort of resources do you recommend for builders just starting up at the moment?
So it depends on their aspirations. Like, what do they want to achieve? Do they just want to, and I have full respect for someone who does not want to be a peak performer. If you don't want to be the best in your area or the best in the world, that's fine. Like, my recommendation is, if you're going to do something, do it to the best of your ability. And because the feeling you get from that is priceless. And that's really, at the end of the day, the ultimate result for you, anyone listening. If you get in the 7-figure club, it's not about the money. I can tell you that now. We've all heard that ad nauseum, right? Money doesn't buy happiness. It doesn't, right? It's who you become is priceless. Because, if we work together, I'll teach you how to do that. And once you know how to do that, no one can take that away from you. You have that, as long as you're alive, you can pass it on to other people. And the peace of mind that you get, the freedom you get in terms of headspace, just knowing that whatever happens, if someone stripped you of everything you had, took every cent of you, dropped you somewhere in your underpants in a new place, you'd be able to, over a period of time, within 3 years, build it back. That's the least you'll be able to do.
Yeah, right.
So my recommendation, I don't know what aspirations are. Like, if you want to get in the 7-figure club, I'm the best guy. Like, I've helped more builders get into that 7-figure club. And that's not me like trying to mouth off with ego or anything. I was first in. And that's what I'll do best. So you speak to me. Otherwise, no doubt there's other great coaches and coaching firms out there as well that work with builders. So whatever's the best fit for you. Otherwise, I have a book, $1 Million Builder. If you go to builderscoach.com, I'll send you a free copy. It's got resources, 40 documents, links, videos. Just start your educational journey, and don't just learn from. I'm not trying to point you to my content because, I want you to, come work with me. I know it's good content.
Yeah.
But look at everything else out there as well.
Well, there you go. There's a first point or the first resource. So you've heard it here. Apply here, mate. He'll send you a book. It's a good book.
I'll cover the postage and handling. I will send it to you no matter where you are in the world. Yeah.
There you go. Beautiful. Good resource. It's a great book. In your personal opinion, what separates those great builders that you're working with in the 7-figure club from those that aren't making it?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question, man. I reckon it comes back to, life's about decision making. It's about making decisions. And the hallmark of leadership is decision making. And it sounds obvious, but it's making a decision with conviction. It's going all in, I'm doing this and I'm all in. Anyone listening who's given up smoking knows what I'm talking about. If you've tried giving up smoking or drinking for that matter, you may have like, I know guys that smoke cigarettes or drank. It's never on the first go that they're able to give up. It's often the 5th or 6th or 7th. And if they look back and you ask them, what's the difference? It was that last time they'd reached a point where they were all in. Now, maybe the previous attempts, they were 98% in, 99.5, but there was room there. Go all in. So the peak performers make that decision. They
Yeah.
are absolutely relentless in their
Right.
pursuit of excellence and what it is that they're after. So that's 50% of it there. Then there's that classic 3 feet from gold. Peak performers don't give up ever, ever. It's, come rain or shine, it is the philosophy is process over outcome and
Yep.
best practice process. What is the best practice process for dealing with what's in front of me now? And this includes if you're going through like a difficult time with a toxic client, if someone's not paying you, your best friend's just betrayed you, your wife's left you. What is the best practice process for dealing with that from a mindset perspective?
Mhm.
Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, because there is a process solution. There's a best practice process solution. And if you apply it, then you develop that skill set, you grow and expand. And no one has exclusivity on a difficult time, right?
Yeah.
Everyone has, you know, rain and sunshine, in their life. Like life is going to punch you in the face. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's how you deal with it that matters. So again, the peak performers have the ability to take the lessons, see the silver lining, carry that forward, use that, and
Yeah.
even feel gratitude. Over time, you can feel gratitude for the challenges you face. I was talking about this the other day.
Hmm.
It's extremely counterintuitive because I remember my mentors saying that to me. You as I'm going through a difficult time and it feels like it's excruciating. They're like, you're being prepared for something better,
Yeah.
you know. And then as you go through the difficult situations more and more, you realize that's the case. It's helping evolve and grow you into a better leader, a better version of yourself. That means you're better equipped to handle the next challenge, which
Yeah.
often means helping more people or whatever else. And then the counterintuitive space you can find yourself in is in the midst of a crisis or difficult, painful, seemingly painful situation, and emotion is just a response to something. You can feel gratitude for the situation. I remember the first time I tried that in a painful, difficult situation,
Mm.
asking myself, what's good about this? There's a great video by Jocko Willink where he's like, good, we just lost that contract, good.
Good.
We've this thing's going on, good, yeah. Um, and it was the most counterintuitive thing I'd ever done in my life to go, well, what's the good, and then how do I feel? Trying to find, that feeling of gratitude. If you've got
Yep.
anyone who's got kids, you've got a little kid that's cute, or you've got a puppy or a pet that you love, you can feel that warm and fuzzy and the gratitude for having them in your life, right? Try and embrace that.
Yep.
But
Comes back to
yeah,
that. You're either winning or learning.
winning or learning, man. So they've got so the decision to do something, to go all in,
Mm.
conviction, and then process over outcome, relentless pursuit, regardless of what comes. And in fact, the more difficult the challenges are, the more they learn and evolve and grow. And again, it's easier said than done, man. Like, I mean, I
Yeah.
still, have to. Every day's a new day. You don't develop a certain mindset and skill set, and then all of a sudden, yeah, everything's easy now. No, every
Yep.
day you start again. You get out there,
You got to make that
and
choice.
you got to keep pushing. Yeah, so stay the course, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that comes back to that coaching, that accountability. Yeah. You need people behind you to help you push through that. So when you do have those days, you've got someone to lean on. You've got an advocate there.
Yeah, and some people need less accountability than others.
Hmm.
Some people just need the roadmap, the information, and then a soundboard,
Yeah.
someone to bounce ideas off and to go, hey, because the quicker you grow and the more you evolve and the more opportunities are going to come your way, and then the more you're going to need to deselect, say no. There's going to be lots of crossroads. I go left, right,
Yep.
left. You know what I mean? And at some point, it's exciting. It's all good. You're doing amazing, exciting things, but we only have so much time,
Yeah.
and then that's it. Our time's up on this planet. So you need to decide. That's why it's so important to get clear on what you actually want, because sadly, a lot of people out there, and you'd know, like friends and family, they're not happy with their career path, their life, their relationship, and you ask them, like, what do you want? What do you ideally want? Like, I always ask that, like, if you had a magic wand, you could have the perfect relationship or the perfect business, or you know how many people don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know what they want.
Yep.
And then, no wonder it's chaos.
If you don't know what you want, how are you going to achieve it?
Yeah, it's just like a cork bopping around in the ocean.
Yeah.
So knowing, where you're headed, but just pursuing it relentlessly, with passion and purpose helps.
Very cool. Very cool. Like that. What role do you think technology plays in building nowadays? Now, we spoke about it earlier. How
Mm-hmm.
important is it to embrace technology in the current building climate?
Oh, massive. Like if you don't, you're going to get left behind, right? And we're living in the age now of AI is a big thing. It wasn't that, and we can all remember recently, right, when you needed a copywriter to, to generate copy, whereas now within seconds you can get
You
copy
got,
done for you using ChatGPT. So,
yeah,
and all the other AIs, and there's a full-on AI race out there now. So it's just that alone is huge. And then there's all the other spin-offs with marketing, the use of apps like Upwork to access people.
mm-hmm.
Like I was in Las Vegas 2 weeks ago for the International Builders Show. We had to create graphics for our booth where we were, there was some serious graphics and work to be done there. And on the 31st of December, I was about to leave for South Africa the next morning. I realized there was a deadline to get the graphics over to the people that were working on the booth. And the deadline was the day I was coming back from a holiday.
Oh.
And that afternoon, I engaged two guys in Pakistan on Upwork. It's a platform where you can engage graphic designers, people all over the world that'll work for, often hourly rates are $8 an hour, $10 an hour. And I had these guys, long story short, sending proofs through the next morning and was pretty much done. It cost me $150.
Wow.
It was unbelievable. So that platform is a piece of technology that gives you access to these people, and it works on a review system. So I found people that had good reviews at doing exactly the type of work that I was looking to get done, and that were working for me. Like, good luck trying to find someone, in Australia or the US on the 31st of December at 2 in the afternoon, and then sending stuff through the next morning. So the guys that embrace technology, and there's endless examples, right, of job scheduling tools and financial controls and access to accurate information in real time that helps make better decisions, more informed decisions for your business.
Another
So
great
just staying ahead of that.
there.
Yeah, but who, not how. Like, you don't have to be the guy. You don't have to be like for the older guys listening going, oh my God, I don't even know how Instagram works. How am I going to figure out AI and everything else? You don't need to. Having someone else that knows, what's going on, in the same way you use an accountant to stay ahead of tax law and, keep you informed with what you need to know. Find someone who understands, technology.
Put them in your business and off you go, or outsource it to that company.
Yeah, it's classic Dan Sullivan, who, not how.
Yeah.
Don't ask, how do I learn and understand this? It's who already has learned about and understands this well as it relates to me and is following best practice. Ideally, don't just find anyone. Find someone who's doing it really well and can help you specifically. Yeah.
Brilliant. Like that. What's one actionable tip that listeners could take right now to improve their business?
It's gonna depend on their particular situation, but I would say find a coach or mentor. Find someone who is a specialist, ideally a specialist who understands construction and who has results, working with builders like yourself. Proven results, track record, and then engage their services. If you're still brand new, read a book. Just take that first step towards improving your knowledge and, take action, take massive action, and then, learn from what doesn't work and keep applying. Rinse and repeat, reflect and review, lay the track, go again.
Love it. So where can our listeners, builders who haven't heard of you, where can we find you?
builderscoach.com. Go to the website. You can access myself. I'll respond to any contact that people make through the website personally, and they can get a free copy of the book. They don't
I'll
have to
whack
get
the
in
link
touch
up
with
above us
me.
as well.
Beautiful. 90% of the builders I help, I never meet. And I'm totally fine with that. I just want to share this information. And it's because I've seen that many guys go through positive transformation and their lives completely changed. And that impacts their family, their kids. And I believe, there's a lot of room for improvement in the industry. We can
Yeah, there
raise
is.
standards.
Sure is.
And I'm prepared to share, what works with as many guys who'll stop and listen as humanly possible.
I love it. I love it. Well, mate, I really appreciate you taking the time to have a chat with us today. It's been an absolute pleasure as always having a chat.
Thanks, Adrian. Likewise.
Appreciate it. Thanks, mate.